Hi, welcome to Love American Homes Professional Training Series. I'm Phil Grove, and I'll be presenting most of this product today. If you'd like to learn more about our products and services, we've got a variety of training and transaction processing services that we offer to real estate professionals nationally, and you can get more information at www.loveamericanhomes.com. See you there, and enjoy the product. Hi, I'm Phil Grove, and welcome to 12 Ways or 12 Strategies to Buy and Sell Real Estate. Over the next 60 minutes or so, I am going to share with you all the different ways, just about all the different ways that you can make money in real estate. Real estate's a very interesting business, mostly because there's just so many different ways to do it, and we're going to talk in detail about all the different strategies you make to do real estate and to make money in real estate. So a little background on where this presentation came from. I've been investing in real estate for a number of years now, and somewhere along the line what I realized was that to a large degree real estate is a numbers game. The more money you spend on marketing and the more marketing that you do, the more leads you're going to generate. The more leads you generate, the more deals you're going to get. The more deals that you do, the more money you're going to make. So what I really realized is that it all comes down to marketing. You want to do a lot of marketing to generate a lot of leads and to get a lot of deals. But when you market for sellers, primarily for motivated sellers, you discover that there's all kinds of different sellers who have all kinds of different situations and all kinds of motivations. In other words, all kinds of different deals. And what I decided is I just want to make money. I don't want to just make money on this kind of deal or that kind of deal. If there's a way to make money on a deal, I want to make money on the deal. In fact, I had a situation just a few years ago where I actually bought and sold one house, and I made over $300,000 just flipping a single house. What was really amazing about that deal is that I was actually the 8th investor to get the lead. In other words, 7 other investors walked into that house and sat down with that homeowner and talked about that homeowner's situation. And the first guy said, well, it doesn't quite fit my model. I do lease options. And the next guy said, well, this thing is a renovation, but, you're underwater on it and there's a tax lien on it. Next guy said, well, I could do a short sale on this thing, but it's also a renovation. There's a tax lien on it. The next guy says, well, I do tax liens, but I really can't figure out how to handle the fact that this thing is underwater and you've got a renovation. If you're willing to look at the entire situation and to figure out a path through the maze and to solve all these different problems, you can get the deal. So sometimes getting a deal incorporates or needs to incorporate several different strategies. So I became an expert at many different strategies, which we're going to talk about today. And each strategy, to me, it's just a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox. The more tools that you have in your toolbox, the more problems you're going to be able to solve. The more problems you can solve, the more money that you're going to be able to make. So I hope you enjoy the next hour we're going to spend together talking about 12 strategies to buy and sell real estate, and hope it changes your world exactly as it has changed mine. Now my little non-disclaimer. Let me take a deep breath. This subject matter is for educational purposes only. We are not lawyers, CPAs, financial planners, etc. You should always have your contracts, taxes, business plans, etc. reviewed by an attorney and or financial advisor before completing any real estate transaction. Well, before I begin, I want to spend a few minutes talking about who am I, what kind of background that I bring into this. So who's Phil Grove? Well, I have an electrical engineering and computer science background. I had a 16-year high-tech career as an electrical engineer, applications engineer, various sales and marketing roles, and ultimately the director or vice president of marketing at several semiconductor companies. I settled in Austin, Texas in the mid-90s because I wanted to live here. Started investing in real estate as a hobby, and over the years have become very highly active in the real estate community. on the board of directors for the Texas Real Estate Investors Association, a statewide board that promotes ethical investing standards for real estate investors. On the board of directors for the Real Estate Investment Club of Austin, president of the Real Estate Networking Club of Austin, Austin's largest real estate club. Founded my primary company, Love Austin Homes, in 2003, providing real estate services in Texas, short sales, partnering, training, mentoring, that sort of thing. And founded the same company, Love American Homes, LLC, which provides the same services nationally. And also founded Hippie Hollow Homes in 2004. Hippie Hollow Homes is a holding company that also does We Buy Houses style marketing and flipping. And that company in itself has actually helped over 1,000 homeowners avoid foreclosure through performing short sales. We do a lot of short sales. So for our agenda today, we'll be talking about basic real estate investing terminology to give you a little bit of foundation. We'll get into the economics and answer the question that all new real estate investors ask: how much should I offer when I make an offer on a property? And then we're going to go into the 12 different strategies that are used in today's market by real estate investors, one at a time. So some basic terminology. First thing all investors want to know when they're ready to buy a house is, what's the after repaired value, the ARV? In other words, what am I going to be able to sell this thing for after I buy it? It's the retail market value a property should have after renovation or repairs have been made. Another interesting and useful term is assignment of contract. That's when the name of the contract is crossed out and replaced by another name, usually an investor, that you are going to assign this contract for, hopefully usually for a fee. A bird dog is an investor that finds properties for other investors, again, usually in exchange for a fee. Flipping, or flip, everybody I'm sure has heard that term. It's simply buying a property and reselling it again to an investor or an end buyer, hopefully usually for a profit. Owner financing, something that's becoming increasingly popular nowadays, is owner financing. This is a transaction in which some or all of the money used to purchase a property is supplied by the seller in the form of a loan. So in other words, instead of buying a house for $100,000, you buy a house for $10,000 down and $1,000 a month. That's buying with owner financing. A pretty home is a home that does not require any renovation to be worth whatever its retail value is. Another term you hear a lot these days is subject to, buying sub to. This is a transaction where some or all of the money used for purchasing the property is supplied by the seller's current mortgage. In other words, you agree to make somebody's mortgage payments going forward in exchange for them deeding the property over to you. And we'll go into more detail on that when we get into that strategy. One of my favorite ways to buy a house is to buy a house that I've already sold, and I do that through using a simultaneous close. Simultaneous close is a flip done on the same day the contract closes, where the money used to buy the property comes from the second buyer. In other words, you buy the property in the morning for $100,000 and you sell it in the afternoon for $120,000, and when you sell it, you actually tell the title company, use the money from this sale to actually pay for the purchase that I did earlier in the day. So you don't necessarily even have to come to the title company with any money that day. And finally, just a couple more terms. An ugly home, obviously the opposite of a pretty home is an ugly home. This is a home that requires repairs or renovations in order to bring it up to its full retail potential. And finally, a wrap or wraparound mortgage. It's a new mortgage created to encompass an existing underlying mortgage. Usually the underlying mortgage has a lower interest rate and or balance, and then you create a all new mortgage that wraps around that with a whole new set of terms, higher interest and higher payments that you collect on each month. Okay, let's answer the question that all new investors want to know: how much should I offer when I make an offer on a home? Okay, well, this is the magic formula. Really, it's kind of the quick and dirty formula. to explain what you should offer when you buy a home. You would not want to offer any more than 70% of the ARV, the after repaired value, minus repairs. So for example, if a home will be worth $100,000 after you renovate it, and it needs $12,000 in repairs or renovations, you would not want to pay any more than 70% of $100,000 minus $12,000, which in this example is $58,000 or less. And we're going to explain that in just a minute, why that's the number. So I didn't just make up 70% minus repairs. That number actually comes from a lot of reasoning. Mostly the reasoning is that it's expensive to buy houses. It's costly. It's risky. There's a lot of costs and risks involved just flipping a house. For example, just the closing costs to buy a property could be anywhere from 1% to 2%. And the money costs something. You're going to have to borrow the money or use some money from some kind of a loan or something, and there could be anywhere from 2 to 5% of the deal just paid in points. And then you're going to have to pay interest on the money, depending on how long the project takes and what your carrying cost is and what your interest rate is. You're going to have to pay that mortgage on that empty house for all of the time that it takes to buy the house, get a crew in there, fix it up, finish the renovations, put it on the market, list it, market it, find a buyer, and ultimately close on it. That could be anywhere from 2 to 15% overhead. And then, of course, the cost of sales. You're going to have to pay closing costs again when you sell the property, and you're going to have to pay commissions to the buyer's agent and probably to a seller's agent. So the total cost just to flip a house, not including the renovation, could be anywhere from 7 to 30% of the value of the home. Now, actually, the truth is thousands of deals have been studied, and on average, the real number across thousands of average deals is right around 14%. But I use 15% as just a typical. So 15% overhead, and what does that mean? That means that if you offer 70% minus repairs, you've got 15% overhead and a 15% profit margin. So that's all the profit you're making if you offer 70% minus repairs. And let's talk about for a minute that 15% profit margin. What can we guarantee is going to happen with that 15% profit margin? Well, we can just about guarantee that things will always go wrong. In other words, no matter how carefully you calculate how much repairs your house is going to need and how carefully you go out and get bids to do those repairs, the truth is that almost always it's going to cost more than you anticipated. And all of those extra costs are going to come out of what? They're going to come out of that 15% profit margin of yours. And the market could change just because that you decided and determined that the house was going to be worth $300,000 when you go to sell it. Well, the truth is that several months down the road, when you actually do go to sell that house, it might not be worth $300,000 anymore. It might only be worth $290,000, or it might be worth $280,000. And if the market goes down and the house is worth less, that profit, that different price comes out of that 15% profit margin. And of course, time on market. You know, you're paying for that house month after month. You're paying a mortgage on a house that's basically vacant. And all of that time that you're paying for comes out of that 15% profit margin. So all of a sudden, that 15% profit margin can become a 10% profit margin, or a 5% profit margin, or a 0% profit margin, or a loss. So it's very important not to overpay when you buy houses. Single biggest mistake new investors make. So, and one other important note, if your strategy is to wholesale the property, if you're trying to just get properties under contract and then sell those deals to other investors, you need to offer even less than 70% minus repairs, because you know, I'm an investor. I'll pay 70% minus repairs, and other investors and remodelers will pay 70% minus repairs. So if you want to make money wholesaling the property to somebody like me, you've got to get it under contract for 50 or 65% minus repairs, which is very, very difficult to do.